What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Big Men on Betting. It is Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. I hope you're all having a great day wherever you are. As always, we're presented by Barstool Sports, and we are live on the Barstool Sportsbook YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jeff Nadu. We are here live with our regular guest, a regular guest to the show. Should now be on Wednesdays. It's our girl, Kelly in Vegas. Kelly, how are you? Nice to see you.
Busy day. We got the wild card weekend coming up, so I've been doing a lot of NFL. I did cap some college basketball this morning. I have 6 games on my list. As you know, I'm probably not going to be betting all of them, so I'm excited to kind of give out a little bit of analysis, my reasoning for each one, and try to narrow this list down, if you will. I get a lot of tweets. Well, you don't have any analysis. You just tweet the game with the line ads at Barstool Sportsbook. I'm like, what do you guys think I do all day? You think I just put out one tweet, just throw some darts, and then that's my job? No, I do a lot of content, and not all of it gets seen. I try to share as much as possible. So excited to do a college basketball show with you in addition to money shots, and it is also in addition to our Saturday spaces. So hopefully we got you back on again Saturday, break down the Saturday card right before tip, because, man, we had a ton of people listening last week, Jeff, and that was really awesome. And we had a good day and found some nuggets that I would have normally not been on.
Yeah, anytime you can put your head together with other people and kind of come up with something, and that's why we do these shows, and that's why I'm glad we have these opportunities. I had a great week up until pretty much last night. I went 0-2, and you know what? That's what happens when you back road teams. It's really just the issue. Oklahoma State was down 3 with 30 seconds to go, somehow lost by 8. That's the continued obsession with fouling after the fact. And UNC were in that game. They were up at one point, I think 5 or 6, ended up losing by 7, getting 5 or 4.5. So, that's the problem when you're betting road teams. You're not going to win all the time. And I kind of noticed, last night when you start getting too many road teams, you're going to struggle. But Kelly, this card tonight is big. We've got a lot of games. I want to let everybody know if you have a question on the game, you're welcome to ask. We'll get to that here in a bit. But we're just going to jump right into it. Kelly, how has your week been in college basketball?
It has been a freaking roller coaster ride since I got back from the islands, Jeff. I went on a nice run there, only lost one game on vacation. And I kind of am attributing to that think long, think wrong analogy, right? I was ready to go to the beach. So I got up every morning. People are cooking breakfast, having a good time. I'm sitting on the patio handicapping games. I bet my bets, and I'm gone for the rest of the day.
Yep.
Versus a day like today, where I've got a 30-minute break here, and then I keep looking at things. Oh, let me get on the little Google machine and make sure that this guy's in, and kind of stuff like that. And you start to overthink it. And last night, I also went 0-2. Old Miss looked good at half, and that was all she wrote. Didn't look good in the second half. Texas Tech was a terrible bet by me. I was banking on the fact that I didn't think Iowa State was as good as they are. They're a scrappy team, and I'm sorry about my Kansas State Wildcats. I know a lot of really sharp guys were on Oklahoma State, and I really almost considered it. But this team, and I have said it, and I have no better answer than they have a golden horseshoe up their asses, Jeff. They keep finding ways to win the games. My aunt texted me, you were wrong about K-State, because I said, I thought K-State would win by 3 or 4. And she goes, you were wrong. They pulled it off. And I said, yeah, but they were only up 2 with just a couple minutes left. She's like, good point. So it's just one of those scenarios where you got to kind of take some of those teams off your list. And right now, I know K-State is being overvalued. And we saw that in the line yesterday, but I could not bring myself to bet against them. And then Florida, I overthought the line move when they were catching points at LSU. I wanted to be on them. Then they were laying points. I missed it. I said, I'm going to stay away. Too easy winners. I left off my list. Oklahoma as well. Because if I bet against KU and Allen Fieldhouse, I know what happens. Same thing that happened to you in Bramlage. They get the whistles late. They hit the buckets. They get the cover. Oklahoma could have won that game outright in Allen Fieldhouse, but no avail. So going to really try to find some winners for you guys tonight, because I went 0-2 yesterday, 0-2 on Sunday. This is just not a fun place to be.
One of the games that I wish looking back I would have been more entrenched with was Oklahoma. I did not understand why they were getting 10 points. I think they're a pretty solid team. I don't think anyone in that conference should ever be getting 10 points. They're just too good. And when you look at Oklahoma, they are a tough team to blow up because they make threes, they hit free throws. Those are hard teams to put out of the game. And, I'll admit, There was talk that Musa Cisse may play for Oklahoma State last night. He didn't end up playing, and I think he would have been a major difference. They may have won with Musa in the lineup. So and you mentioned Texas Tech. They had some guys out. The Monday night, we talked about Texas Southern. They had a couple of guys out, ended up losing that game. So you need your full complement of guys. If you see someone may not be in the lineup, it's probably likely they're not going to play. In college, they're generally, if they're questionable, they're not going to rush these kids back. There's too many games. There's too many bigger fish to fry down the road. But let's get into this here. Ole Miss was interesting because that game screamed under to me. And for whatever reason, Auburn, people just try to run with them, which I don't really understand. But Ole Miss has some major problems right now. They're a bad basketball team. You mentioned a horseshoe. I'm going to talk about another team that, to me, anytime I involve myself with them, and really this conference in general, I just can't seem to ever get it right. Marquette has a horseshoe up their ass as well. Same with, for the most part, any team that plays Villanova. Villanova just can't ever seem to shoot. By the way, they lost last night at the Paul, I believe. You have UConn tonight, 2.5 against Marquette. UConn's kind of come on some hard times. At one point, this team looked like the best team in America, and they still may be. But they had kind of a tough go of it against Xavier and Providence, came back home, bounced back, beat Creighton the other night. But now it's back on the road and Fiserv form. I kind of thought this was a tough one because I think both teams will have success. Marquette, I think, will press UConn a little bit, and I don't know if that's a good idea. I also think Marquette can seemingly find their way against a lot of teams as well. This was a tough game. It's kind of a big marquee game. I threw it in there for that reason. But I feel like if I had to play it was UConn, but I just have no interest in fading Marquette in that building. What'd you think about this one?
I'll keep this one short and sweet because I'm with you. I looked at UConn early this morning, and you know what? It's the same thing I've told you and Megan in the group chat before. My God, if I bet against Marquette, I know exactly what happens. I bet against this team 3 or 4 times this year. I bet I'm 0-4 against them. It's just not been a fun place to be. But I'm with you. The lean here is to UConn. Solid defense. We know what we're going to get from this team. Yes, as you mentioned, they did falter against Xavier and Providence earlier to start the month. But I do think that Creighton game, for lack of better words, was like a get-right game, if you will. To get that nice win and cover at home, I think was kind of maybe a turning point for UConn. But I need to see a little bit more of them. If they can go here and get a nice road win over a Marquette team that has had my number, I think that this team may be on a nice little run here.
Something tells me this game finds its way over the total. I feel like both these teams, again, will have some sustainable offensive success. This one could get up and down. Marquette likes to play fast. I feel like UConn, can Marquette not press? I feel like that's how they just play, and that's going to lead to, I think, kind of like last year's game. I think it was 80-72. I could see that happening here. I don't think either of us have much of a take on this. It's really just a game I wanted to include because it is a big one. Real quick, Cade Brown says State, Georgia under, autoplay on Mississippi State. We've talked about that, Kelly and I. I hate Mississippi State. I think they're hard to watch. They're actually very good on defense. They don't have a ton of weapons. Georgia as well. They're not that up and down Tom Crean team that we've seen in years past. They're also a team that like to play in the half court. I think that's a good one. That could actually shake out a lot like we thought Auburn Ole Miss might shake out.
Yep. And I actually am on Georgia. That is one of the teams that I've already decided I'm going to be playing on. I played on this team on Saturday, Jeff. Yep. I like them. I'm going back to the well. I know what I get from this team. And I'll say that much. They gave Florida all they could handle on Saturday. And yes, they got the loss and kind of lost it there at the end. Still too many points for Florida, but you nailed it. You said it at the Barstool Invitational. I bet against them as well. I didn't say that it was a bet against Mississippi State, but I did bet against them. I think this defense is given a little too much credit. And I know they like to play slow, and I know that this is going to be like a knockout, drag-out, boring game, so I hopefully don't even have to watch it. But Georgia, if they can get the boards and not turn the ball over, I think they get the win here at home.
Here's the issue I have with both these teams. And one of the reasons I think this is going to be the first to 60 wins, maybe a game played in the 50s. Mississippi State in conference has been horrible in the half court. And, I mean, just being honest, so is Georgia. I mean, Georgia's been a lot of threes. But you figure, you look at this game, I mean, this is a tough defense. Are they a little overvalued? Maybe, but they're still solid. They're going to make you work for everything. Neither of these teams wants to play fast. This is going to be a game where you're walking the ball up the court, and they're just both, I think, super dependent on either threes or getting to the free throw line. You also look at Mississippi State. This team's shooting 48% from the free throw line in conference. That is hideous stuff.
Just disgusting.
Yeah, and that's the kind of things where you're going to see games that are played in the 50s because of it. I'm not giving Mississippi State any credit. They broke the 3-game losing streak. Guess who they beat? Ole Miss. Who cares? Ole Miss is worse than Mississippi State, if you can believe it. These teams are just not good. They're not good on offense. You have the 14th ranked offense in conference and the 5th. But again, a lot of that has to do with 3-point shots, which may or may not fall. That's not a sustainable way to win. If you're Georgia, they don't do it often. So I'm going to lean under as well. Or according to the commenter, I think this is a game probably played in the 50s.
I would agree. And if it comes down to free throws, there's only one team you can trust here.
Exactly.
From a fundamental basketball standpoint, I could not even fathom laying points on the road with the Bulldogs. I agree with you. This looks like a coin flip type of game, but I'm going to take the team that has covered 5 of their last 6 versus the team that doesn't even seem to want to try half of the time out there.
And it's funny you mentioned the side as well. It's like I almost look at this and say, why is Mississippi State a favorite in this game? I don't understand this at all. Like,
I made Georgia a 1-point favorite, so I'm going to leave it for what it is. I don't think there's a ton of value, but we've talked about that before, Jeff. Me and these Power 5 conferences, the lines are going to be tighter. They really are. And, you got to dig down in some of those smaller conferences and you've got to be really sharp with your numbers as well. But yeah, I'm with you here. I'm taking Georgia.
If you can keep Tolu Smith in control and not allow him to just go all crazy, they are just a bad team. I don't think they should be a favorite here at all. I agree with you. I think they should be a slight dog, if anything. Kevin Sager says, please talk about UMass Lowell. Kelly's not going to talk about it, but I'll quickly mention it. I actually like them tonight. The reason I didn't play them is Vermont is getting a lot of sharp action, I've noticed. But I think UMass Lowell is really good. I think they're going to throw a wrench in that conference with Bryant and Vermont. I think that the schematics and personnel scream Lowell, but Vermont is so well coached. I know people say they're not the vintage Vermont, but they're still pretty good. I lean Lowell though. The problem is a lot of sharp money is on Vermont here, so it's ultimately going to be a stay away for me. Let's get back to this outline, if you will. Kelly, this is to me the best game on the board. Okay, I'll say it now. Okay, when you get into conference play, there are 2 things you want to bet on. I said at the beginning, home teams and coaching. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Of which UCF has the better of both. Okay. UCF is very good at home. In fact, they've covered 5 straight games against Memphis. Kelly, think about this. 3 games last year these teams played against each other. UCF lost both at Memphis and 1 at home. And like I said, have covered 5 straight at home against Memphis. UCF is, I'm telling you guys, very good. Okay. Are they Houston? No. But I think they can compete with Houston. They're the only team in this conference that can, and they're extremely well coached. You have one of the worst coaches in America in Penny Hardaway against, to me, one of the really underrated coaches. Dawkins is a hell of a defensive coach, and he essentially each year has a very large kid that he says 7 foot or bigger, stand in the middle of this defense, put your hands up, and we'll do the rest in the perimeter. We have long guards that are going to just make it very difficult on you. And I don't think Memphis, outside of Kendrick Davis, is very talented. I think UCF is an absolute dog on defense, and they're at home here. I think UCF gets the job done. I bet on them in this situation last year. They won by 10 in this game. I like UCF tonight. Give me a home team. Give me the better coach team, and give me a team that I've had some good reads on this year.
So I also had a good read on this team on Saturday. I laid the 9, and I know a lot of people are like, you never bet a favorite. Well, I did. And that is because I looked at this matchup versus SMU. I said, listen, this UCF team should be able to run away with a 6-9 SMU team that is just absolutely atrocious. As you mentioned, UCF at home, much better of a team. They really like to play slow and low. But against a team like SMU, they put up season high numbers. And I hope that correlates to this game for you because you do like them. I ultimately ended up not playing them, but I'm with you. Are you kidding me? Penny Hardaway. I don't know what I don't know how long this experiment can continue to last. I don't think he's a great coach. This team can't hit a 3-point shot to save their lives. They try to run fast, but they can't run fast against teams with really solid defenses, and that is UCF. I'm going to, like I said, stay away, but I do have a really strong lean with you here. Got to make your free throws, UCF, and I think they get the cover here at home.
Keep in mind, one of the strong parts of UCF as well is they are one of the best offensive rebounding teams in all of America. I believe they're top 10. This is a poor defensive rebounding team in Memphis. If you can rebound the basketball on the offensive glass, Auburn, I think, had 13 offensive rebounds last night. That was the reason they won that game. That second chance opportunities. You have kids on this UCF team with like very high offensive rebound rates. Michael Durr, Tyler Hendricks. Taylor Hendricks is one of the best players in this conference, the freshman. He's the difference in this game. Give me Central Florida. I'll play him on the money line, just so I don't have to worry about, let's say this game's close at the end and I don't want to push or have to struggle here. I always play the money line here, straight up, bang, bang. And Kelly, nice call against SMU. That is a very good bet by you the other night. That was a good one. Say something nice about Pitt basketball. All right, something nice. No, literally, I will say they've improved. I've been very impressed with how good they've been compared to last year. They got some of the negative energy out of their locker room, and Capel's done a pretty nice job. We'll see if they can make it last. No one really cares about you winning in December and January. It's can you win games in March? Thoughts on Kentucky and Cal? I think for the first time in a long time, he is very much getting to the point where people are getting sick and tired of this guy. I saw some signs in the crowd last night. Listen, I understand, the games 3-4 years ago, Cal would find a way to win that game last night. They didn't. And you're starting to see a team that has very little offensive identity. They had none last year. They didn't have any the year before. If I were Kentucky, I would start considering possibly moving on. I think the game is passing John by. John's a great
You think
recruiter.
so? Okay, I think this is tough.
This is happening,
You think
Kelly.
it's really passing him by?
Yes, this has happened to a lot of
He's failing
coaches.
to adapt?
Yes. I mean, you look at the truth of the matter. Is Roy Williams, was he a great coach? Yeah, maybe 20 years ago. He's a good recruiter, but he's not a good coach. Coach Krzyzewski, same thing there. Coach Cal has gotten progressively worse, let's just say over the last 5 to 10 years. I think it's been longer than that, but this guy's not getting the same level of talent. You've also looked at the rest of this conference. It's getting better around him. They're attracting better talent, and kids want to play for Eric Musselman. They want to play for people like that.
That's actually a really good point. There are more appealing coaches. Kentucky just had that one and done success for so long. It's really interesting, Jeff, because I, as a long-suffering K-State fan, right, am so excited with Coach Tang to get rid of Bruce Weber, all of these fun things. But never once did I expect to have a one-loss season this far in, right? They've already basically surpassed their Big 12 win total. Ken Palm did not have them winning a single Big 12 game. I think the biggest problem is the fan bases become so accustomed to winning. Georgia football, Alabama football, USC. You have those long-standing rivalries, those long-standing traditions. And that is where kind of the bottom starts to fall out, is understanding that, hey, maybe the game has passed them by. I could be wrong. But you're going to have those off years. And you've got to be able to go with the ebbs and flows. But a basketball program like Kentucky will not tolerate it. And that's the crazy part. I think you're probably right. I bet he is on the chopping block.
Also, and I'm not going to say what I'm trying to say, but I'm going to say it. Don't you find it interesting that ultimately NIL starts and, we start looking into coaches from a federal standpoint. All of a sudden he stops winning games. Let's be honest. Coach Cal was giving duffel bags to players. You and I both know it. We all know.
Okay, I got a UNLV fan furious with me. I had a good friend that is a very integral part of the UNLV Rebel basketball team in the 90s. And he said they would have car washes, if you will. And the kids, think about these guys are like 6'7" out there washing Mercedes. Well, that's because they're getting $10,000 envelopes. They're not doing a charity car wash. Give me a break. And she got so mad at me and said, how could I dare speak ill of somebody that was no longer with us? And I go, I'm not mad at Coach Tark at all, because they were all doing it. I was a bottle service waitress at a nightclub in Vegas for years. And I had so many coaches, and you give some people some cocktails and you get some great stories. And I remember a assistant head basketball coach literally told me, and I will not say his name because he is still in the NCAA, was like, he goes, everyone cheats, Kelly. And I was giving his team an extra amount of grief. And my buddy Jason turned and looked at him and he goes, you know, she writes for the local newspaper as well, right? He sat down his drink and walked out the exit like he had seen a ghost. And I'm like, I'm not going to tell on you, but
Right.
we all knew it was happening. And whether the NCAA let this slide or that slide is kind of one of those like unfortunate things, because it really came back to bite K-State in the ass when one of their players got some money from an AAU coach. I think you're right. I think you might be onto something here. Now that you're not able to cheat, the cheating's more out in the open.
Well, NIL has leveled the playing field. It's allowed people like Kansas State or Tennessee or any team to say, you know what? No one can pay anyone anymore. We can all make money for people. I mean, case in point, you know, you have kids from, let's say, Iowa City, Iowa, who, that's not a big place, but they get some of these kids to come in. They're great players, and they make them into stars, and they make them in. That's not because they went to, it just happens to be where they are. And, you know, they're getting local places to send them. Back then, Iowa couldn't do something like that. They're not going to get the kid like Luka Garza, or they're not going to get these kids. So it's leveled the playing field for everybody. And it's no secret that for John Calipari, it's helped for a while, and now it's not helping anymore because he can't do that. So to me, would I consider moving on? Yeah, I think he's 63 years old. This guy hasn't made the NCAA. He's made the NCAA tournament, I think, over the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, don't forget they got beat by by a double-digit underdog last year in St. Peter's. And while St. Peter's caught fire at the right time, if I was a Kentucky fan, I would say that loss is pretty unacceptable.
Right. And remember, we didn't have a tournament in 2020. They didn't make the tournament the year before. They haven't been, past the Sweet 16 in like 4 or 5 years. People forget about that stuff. Okay. Remember, Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. Okay. Within 2 years, he was fired. Okay. People move on. If you can't provide a dynasty to me, we're thankful for what you did, but it's time to move on.
No, you nailed it. You're right. If you can show success early on, but you can't maintain success. Yeah, it's a definite difficult thing. Like I said, I think K-State fans are a little bit more insufferable because we're so used to losing that when you get a little bit of success. I was the only one mad, I think, that we got blown up by Alabama. I think not a single one of them that spent all that money to go to New Orleans cared. But eventually, when you're used to a high caliber level of success, you're going to be pissed off at your coaches or some sort of administration, an athletic director, whatever it may be.
I don't know where you go either. I mean, obviously that's an attractive job. That's a place a lot of people want to go. Where exactly do you go with it? You know who I would call? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think he would leave, but someone like Juwan Howard, someone like that.
Oh,
somebody with a lot of connection, someone that's got a lot of pool, someone that young kids can relate to. But let's get back to the outline. That's just a great question, and I'm glad someone asked it. I think the chopping block is starting to get smaller and smaller for Mr. Calipari. So, yeah, I'm just going to say it. I like UCF tonight. I think they get the job done against the Memphis Tigers. All right, this is a big one. Arkansas, Alabama. I've said before, I'll say it again. The best home advantage in America is Arkansas. Bud Walton Arena is just a horror show if you're a road team. And you look at Alabama, Kelly. Alabama has not won at Bud Walton. Do you know how long?
Ooh, I don't know how long.
2012.
Wow.
Over 10 years since they last won at Bud Walton Arena. I don't think it's going to start tonight either. Here's the problem, okay? I've talked about where if you can zone Arkansas, they'll struggle. But I'll tell you something I think is going to happen tonight. That 29% from three, I get a weird feeling they're going to start making some tonight. And I think they're going to start making them in a big way. They're going to have that crowd behind them, kind of what they did against Missouri. It might work for a half, but I think ultimately the way Nate Oates plays, it's going to come back and bite them. Arkansas is an elite defense. They're going to have that home crowd behind them. And this is one of those spots that just scream Arkansas. We've seen them before. We've seen them again. Alabama is a good basketball team, and they've definitely been solid, but they're going to struggle tonight against Arkansas. I think Arkansas makes some threes. I think they get the job done here.
Yeah, I'm on Arkansas as well. I haven't got to the window yet. I was waiting to just see a couple other things because Arkansas has yet to cover a game in conference play. And off that ugly loss to Auburn, I was not impressed with what I saw. But as you mentioned, that loss and the LSU loss were both on the road and having such a strong home court advantage here against one of the best teams in the country in Alabama. This Alabama team is great on both sides of the ball. We know that they love to run. My one caveat was Arkansas needs to get hot from three here, I think, if they're going to be able to run with Alabama. And that was my main concern because poor shooting from three is just really what's killed them. I mean, look, 28.5%.
Not good.
I'm not saying I could do better, okay, by any means, but my God, that is where, I think we start to see in SEC play. I also think that, as you mentioned, with Coach Cal and Kentucky, for this Alabama team, that route of Kentucky maybe isn't as good as we last saw, right? Like, we think what we saw from this Alabama team, but Kentucky's just not a great basketball program right now. So I'm not going to let that one hold a ton of weight here. I do lean Arkansas. Ultimately, I probably will get to the window with this team, but I really wanted to know if you were in alignment with me because I do think that is look, it's just a money line play here. Are you laying, minus 109 or are you laying minus 112?
Since the start of the 2020 season, in fact, sorry, let's just do the 2021 season. And this is actually a great number because Steve's posting it. I mean, that's pretty unbelievable. I mean, they haven't lost in over a calendar year at home. I just don't have interest.
Crazy.
They're not going to come in here and bang you around. They just aren't. And I've said before, I don't like Nate Oates. I think he is very poor at adapting to things that aren't working. And what I think happens tonight is they aren't going to be able to get into the teeth of the defense like they want because Arkansas is long and lengthy. They're not going to get to the foul. And what they're going to start doing is selling for jump shots, three balls, lazy play.
Okay.
And I think Arkansas is just going to, when you get going in that building, I mean, it is real hard as a road team to come back. And we're going to find a lot about how good Alabama is because this is where the games matter, these conference play games, these tough atmospheres. I know Arkansas doesn't have their full complement of people, but I think they're still talented. And I think that 28, 29% that we talked about is going to shoot up a little bit. I think they're going to make some threes tonight. Why do I have a weird feeling they're going to go, I don't know, 10 for 19 from three or something, some crazy thing tonight.
Yeah, and don't forget, and while they've been a little bit better in conference play, Alabama is still very turnover prone. That's how they lost to UConn and Gonzaga. So, granted, those are both neutral courts, if you will, but still, you nailed it. This arena for Arkansas is a very, very tough place to play.
Floyd DK says Missouri gets no respect. We literally have only lost to two teams, and we almost had Arkansas. Yeah, but our almost doesn't pay the bills. And to be fair, they had played no one up until Kansas got lit. And look, I'll give it to them. I mean, you could say, well, we beat Illinois, but I don't know. Illinois has kind of become a disaster in a way. The truth is, Floyd, I mean, I like Missouri. I think they're a little bit of a one-trick pony, and I think ultimately they're just not going to – that's not a sustainable way to play up and down like that. It's just not going to work. I think when the rubber meets the road, teams are just going to punch them in the mouth. They're kind of,
For what it's worth, I'm going to be at that Mizzou-Arkansas game next week. I'm going to Kansas, hang out at the Barstool Sportsbook in between the games, Kansas, K-State Tuesday, and then Arkansas, Mizzou Wednesday. I already have Mizzou circled at home. Games in Columbia, I do think that they probably are a fade spot versus Florida the week prior or the Saturday prior to that game. But I think that Missouri is going to match up really nice with Arkansas. That being said, I think they lose tonight.
Thank you for watching, Floyd. I appreciate it. Someone's asking about the under or a team total under. I gotta be honest. My first thought was under. I feel like, I don't know. I think if you like the under, you probably lean. It's hard.
I kind of feel like Arkansas is correlated to the under. If the defense is going to show up, but then that caveat of you saying they bang down, 60% from the 3-point line. Of course, that would only happen to me holding an under ticket.
I would lean on Bama under. I think they're going to struggle
Okay.
tonight. I think Arkansas shuts down the transition. They get forced into a lot of jump shots. If I played an under of anything, it would just be
Bama team
signaling out
total.
Alabama. Right. Kelly, I'm going to bring a game up that's off the beaten path that I just want to kind of chat about. I want to kind of highlight how bad Monmouth is. Monmouth is horrific. And this is a awful basketball team. I'm talking about bottom of the barrel bad. This team has not scored more than 56 points since December 12th. They've been held under 60 points 9 times and lost by 19 9 times. This is a bad team. Now, the only thing that will keep Hofstra from not winning by 20 plus is that it's a Wednesday night and they just don't care that much about this game. But something tells me they've kind of had those games already play out. They're fully healthy. They're going to score in this game. They've one of the best, most efficient pick and roll offenses in America. And I think Monmouth is playing bad. I mean, they lose a lot of games like 88-46, 78-50, stuff like that. This is a real bad team. And the thing about Hofstra that I want to throw out to you guys, one thing that I think they're good for in games like this is they're not very deep. Okay, so their coach, Speedy Claxton, former NBAer, he's forced to play them pretty much the whole game. So I think that will keep the foot on the gas here. I could see them winning by 30. I think Hofstra is really good, and I think Monmouth's real bad. This is a awful, awful team. One win. I don't know how they even got that win, but you look at their schedule, Kelly, just a lot of, 79-52 types of games. So I'm going to just throw that out there to everybody. They're off of a 67-35, not to, some good team. Drexel, 35 points in a Division I basketball game. So that's what I'm going to throw out. I like that one there. Kelly, let's go to this one. This is interesting. Texas TCU. TCU has turned into an up and down transition machine. They do a lot on the glass. They do a lot on the boards. A lot of offensive putbacks. They stay in games because they're able to do that. But something says to me, why is Texas a 6.5-point favorite? Oh, because they're going to win by double digits here, and they're going to get back on everybody's radar, and we're going to realize, they kind of are legit. Marcus Carr will have a big game, and everybody will be good. Talk me out of Texas. That said, what do you like here?
Oh, I don't know if I can talk you out of Texas. I have Texas on my long list as well, Jeff. And look, obviously we all know what happened with Chris Beard, kind of threw them for a loop. They get blown out by my Kansas State Wildcats. And then they had a little bounce back against Oklahoma State on the road. And I was very close to betting Oklahoma State that day. So a nice stay away by me. This line is very perplexing to me as well. I know a lot of really sharp guys that had futures bets on Texas, not only to win the Big 12, but to win the whole thing. Now without Chris Beard, you kind of have to wonder how things are going to go. And what do we know about Texas, right? We know that they have tons of D1 experience. They're one of the most experienced teams in college basketball. We know that they are fairly up-tempo type of team. We know they play pretty solid defense. But we haven't seen that from them week in and week out. And that's what concerns me. I want to see a team that I want to bet on to win it all, to win their prospective conference, to have a lot more continuity. And this team just really doesn't. I don't know if I'm going to get to the window with Texas tonight, but I'm with you. TCU, the only way I think they're going to win this game in Austin is to hit down 3-point shots, which we know they're not good at. We know that they have chances to get the boards from time to time, but on defense, I'm just not as impressed with this team as I should be. We know that they, as far as like, if you want to use like a Ken Palm analytic, minutes and continuity, I think the reason why they're 13-2 is because they play really well together, because they have that experience together. And this is tough. I know Megan played TCU. I could not get to the window with that side 100% sure. The reason why I did lean Texas is because we have seen those flashes of this team. And I know that they are capable of blowing teams out, but I haven't seen it recently. I do, again, lean towards Texas, but TCU's been red hot, as you mentioned, 7-2-1 against the spread in their last 10. And I'm not sure I want to step in front of them here.
Just doesn't make sense. TCU has lost once in 2 calendar months, and they're 6.5-point underdogs here.
It's like the football game, honestly. Yeah. It reminds me of when Texas was a 7.5-point favorite in football, and I'm going, what the hell am I missing? And yet I was still too scared to take TCU. I think ultimately I'm just going to stay off this game.
I'm going the other way. I think Texas wins by double digits here. I think they will be unable to run it in transition. I think you just see one of those games where Texas puts it together. Listen, I know a lot of people are going to bring up the fact that they had that one really awful game defensively against K-State. I'll say it again. I think the K-State would have beaten the Dream Team that night. Sometimes you can't – a team just makes everything. 1.4 points per possession is about as good as it gets from an analytical standpoint. I don't know if you can even do better than that. So you just chalk that one up. But all in all, Texas is still a really good defensive team.
Do you wonder if it just makes more sense to take the over here? We know what we're getting from both offenses. We know that both of these teams,
I don't think we do with TCU. I think they're really going to struggle in this game. I think this turns into one of those – like I could see this game being – like 72-60 or something. Like I think TCU's kind of hamstrung here, kind of the way Alabama could be tonight. The number just doesn't make sense, and therefore I'm saying, you know what? It's almost like you're throwing a 13-2 team getting 6.5 out there against a team that, as we know from a recency bias standpoint, is in the market. People don't want to bet Texas right now. They hear Chris Beard, but they don't know that Rodney Terry is actually a pretty good coach, and they have good personnel. They're at home here against a kind of a rivalry type of game against a team. Why are they've lost one time in 2 months, and it just happened over the weekend. They were rolling.
Yeah, and I think that's why I don't like the under here is because TCU doesn't win low. Like that's where TCU wins, is in lower scoring games. Texas needs to go on a big time run here. I lean Texas a lot. We'll see. I need a little more convincing on my end. If this line was like 2.5, I think you're right. I'd be like, what? Yeah, okay. But because it's so significant, it definitely is just like almost when I first went down the card, it was like almost staggering. Like, wait, what? What am I missing here? Who's out for the Horned Frogs? And then you look and it's no one.
Yeah, I like I said, this screams double digits to me, to Texas. All right, a few questions, then we'll get out of here. I'll just address this quick. Would I bet Brian tonight? Look, I have no interest in laying double digits with Brian. They're not good enough defensively. Do I think Albany will throw a wrench in? No, but again, team total overs, Brian. You should not be betting them full games. They're not good enough on defense. This guy's saying that Maryland's surely going to win the national title. I wouldn't bet your money on that. I don't know where that's coming from, but all right. All right, quickly, 2-3 minutes. Guys, drop any questions that you might have. What are your thoughts on Xavier against Creighton? Again, Big East I hate. I'm just not interested. Another team that has some kind of horseshoe is the Xavier Musketeers. I lean Creighton. I think they're still really good and they're finally healthy, but I hate this conference.
You hate this conference. That's hilarious. I don't hate this conference. I just haven't been very good at it. And that's been kind of the problem. The Big East this year has not been fun to me. And that's mainly probably going back to what I said about Marquette. It's just not been a great spot for me. Big 12 is where my bread and butter's been. So if you want, we can talk about Baylor, West Virginia.
That's what I was going to get to next. I didn't play this one, but again, be WVU or pass to me here. I'll continue to take a desperate team in a spot that, I like.
So this was tweeted to me earlier. Actually, it's my buddy Adam that tweeted it instead of just texting it to me, but I kind of resonated with me. Do you think the problem in Waco is that Jerome Tang is at K-State now? Was he much more integral for this team than we ever realized?
Well, that's something that I've made the case about with Gonzaga. Gonzaga has not been the same team since Tommy Lloyd left. And I don't think people realize, the reason Mark Few became Mark Few is because Tommy Lloyd was able to go to Asia and Europe and Australia and all these places and get these kids to come there. And I think ultimately, look, Few's a great coach, but I still think it's concerning. When you lose an assistant, Kelly, when I realized how important an assistant coach is at the Barstool Invitational, I got the ability to go into the locker room with Toledo before the game. And Todd Kowalczyk, before the game, didn't really talk. It was the assistant coaches highlighting every player. There was one guy they had. I got to get his name, but just every little thing about the opposing team he knew, and he made it clear in their minds, this is what we do. This is so important. Those guys are so important in practices and before games. The coach is going to get all the respect, but it's the Jerome Tangs and the Tommy Lloyds and the Phil Martellis that I think are the true kind of success stories behind these coaches. I think that's a great point.
No, some of the guys are talking about some of the issues, Cryer, Flagler, etc. I understand, but if you asked me to start the season, what I would have thought that their record going into Big 12 play would have been, I would not have said they dropped 3 straight, but I absolutely think they dropped 4 straight. I love Bob Huggins. We know what a solid team they are at home. Yes, they just got mopped by KU, but that's just what KU does. They turn a switch on every once in a while and just obliterate teams, and then they lay eggs like they did last night. I think West Virginia, who has also dropped 3 straight overtime, loser to K-State, Oklahoma State, and KU. I think they get a nice win here at home, get a good bounce back. We know this team has always been called Press Virginia, right? When they put a lot of pressure on their opponents. And we've seen Bob Huggins, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. You were just talking about Calipari not adapting. I think we've seen Bob Huggins really adapt fairly well with this West Virginia team. And I have always been impressed with him. We'll see how it ends up playing out. But I am very, very close to just doing what you did with UCF and just playing West Virginia money line tonight.
The only thing that just makes me sick, to be quite honest, is, West Virginia's played, I think, 4 conference games. 58.5% from the line. That's just those as a team that's not as talented as the other team. You can, again, and I've talked about this historically for years. You could stay in games if you make free throws. Okay. I remember like 6-7 years ago, there was a press release by the NCAA essentially saying that we want officials to call more fouls. It means more points. It means more everything. These officials are looking for any reason in their fucking mouth to blow that whistle.
Wow.
They want to be the center of attention. And if you're going to give me a team that cannot make them, I have hard times betting them. That said, I'm on board with you here. I think it's the play. I would be sick to my stomach if tonight I bet on West Virginia and they are 19 for 29 from the line and lose by 3. That would make me sick. And I hate to say it, but that's how teams do not cover games. So, I think the spot's perfect. I love Huggins. I think he has absolutely adapted. But this is also Baylor teams that are playing really poorly right now. So it's hard to go to Morgantown. That's a tough place to go, man.
You've been to Morgantown, haven't you?
I have. I've been, and I remember when we went to Rough and Rowdy, you go right by Morgantown as you go to Charleston. And I remember saying, I said to my friend that was in the car, I said, man, could you imagine having to come down here on like a Tuesday night? It's just the airport. You got to come from this small little airport and like drive to Morgantown. It's bleak.
Or flying to Pittsburgh like most normal people have to do.
Right. But like what I'm saying, like it's just and I don't mean any disrespect. I think West Virginia is a cool place, but it is a bleak place, man. Like really bleak. Like I'm talking about.
You're right, though. But I think anybody's going to say that about a lot of Big 12 college talents coming from Philadelphia. I'll be really honest with you. Like, I just mean the atmosphere alone at that basketball arena is insane.
It is, but
the kids get rowdy. Football is equally as fun. I know most recently Neil Brown has not helped with that, but that's all I was meaning. Is it is a tough place to play, and I think a lot of people don't give it enough credit.
Well, like a road trip, like I think the Big 12 is tough, but like a road trip is like you go to Kansas or whatever. That's not easy, but like when I say bleak, like West Virginia is a bleak, depressing place to me. Like it seems always it's just dark and just it looks like 30 years ago in America.
Then you haven't spent any time in Waco, Texas. It's not going to be anything different for these kids. But let's hope those guys all go to Fat Daddy's before the game, get absolutely obliterated, and make a ton of noise tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And they're a great basketball fan base down there. They love West Virginia basketball. Someone's asking me about the dozen last night. Listen, guys.
Oh, yeah.
I know all of you that watch the dozen think, oh, it's so easy. I would do so well. I know every question. Guys, again, it's not as easy as it looks, okay? A lot of the time.
So hard.
Yeah, you have the answer, but you can't think of it. You have only a certain amount of time. Look, it didn't go well for us. We didn't seemingly get anything we seem to know. The other team, they had one of the kids, he knew everything. What are you going to do? You can't win them all. I think I need a shakeup and a new team.
Are you guys going to get relegated?
I don't know. We have 1 win, 1 loss, or have 2 losses now. Yeah, we'll see. We have a possibility. It really depends how the other teams play. But yeah, I'm ready to jump ship. I'll go to another team. I need a better team.
If I was allowed to be on a team, we could talk. But I don't still know if I'm allowed to be. We'll see, because I think there's going to be a lot of shakeups. Floyd's asking about Mizzou tonight. I am going to be on A&M. I know that sounds absolutely crazy, but we kind of already touched on Mizzou a little bit. But yeah, I like A&M tonight. I'm eating a lot of chalk tonight, you guys. I know that's unprecedented, but it's college basketball season. I got to mix things up.
Yeah. Also, loyalty means nothing to Jeff. Yeah, right. Again, I don't know if you know anything, Hunt, but look, I like all my coworkers, but they're not my family. Like my blood. It's a fucking game, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah,
I'm trying to have fun here. It's so funny. It's like you try to be funny, and then it's why are you trying to be fun? Or you're not funny. You're so serious. I'm trying to have fun, dude. I wasn't literally being serious. We're having a good time. Relax. It's all about having fun in this business, right? Kelly.
I mean, that's the best part about working at Barstool Sports is you get to have a great time. If it ever becomes not fun, I don't want to be here. I've worked at places that aren't that much fun.
Kelly, read that comment.
Who's this lady? Is this Nadu's girlfriend? Who's this lady? Who's this lady? I don't like the word lady. It implies that I'm old. Come on, you guys.
Yeah, she's only 28, guys.
God, I wish. Ariel Epstein, a good friend of mine, can't say where she works now, but she's hilarious because she said something the other day, and I go, "You're 28." I said she was 25. I said, "Guys, we're not 25 anymore." And I go, "Except for Ariel." And she goes, "I'm 28." I'm like, man, I would kill to be 28 years old in this business, knowing everything I know now.
Yeah, that's a good point by you. But you're not much older than. I don't want to ask your age.
It doesn't matter. I'm not 40. I'll tell you that. I can promise you I'm not 40, like some of the commenters say.
All right, guys, we're out of here. You guys have a good night. Thank you for watching. For me, I'm gonna go straight up. I'm gonna play UCF. I like UCF money line, and I'm gonna play Hofstra. I think Hofstra crushes Monmouth.
Minus 19, minus 20. What's the
minus
number?
18 and a half.
18 and a half. Okay.
Kelly, are we going to agree that Arkansas will play? They have to.
Yep. So I'm actually going to play 4 of the 6. I am going to stay off Texas. I know I shouldn't.
That's another one I like.
Damn it. And that's what bothers me is like, am I really going to play 5 basketball games tonight? Fine, I am. Okay, I'm going to play.
But you know what I said all these great things about Texas.
No, it's perfect because when it loses, I blame you. Just like people do to me on the internet. Cal, I love this. Oh, I lost because of you. I would be like, you guys be mad at Jeff.
I think this is a huge, huge game for Texas. I think it's finally starting to you got to start winning again. This is a big game, right?
Yeah.
9:00. I think it's probably on ESPN. Or by the way, real quick, you talk about a delusional fan base, Texas. Why the fuck do they have their own network?
I'm sorry, because they have millions and millions and millions of oil dollars.
They don't
That's
win.
why.
What the fuck are we talking about here?
They don't win anymore. I mean, listen, Adam says in the comments he hates K-State. I wish I could hate Texas. I can't. They're just such lovable losers. It's so much fun to watch their demise. And as I say that, I am going to lay the 6.5 with Texas tonight.
Boom.
And because guess what? None of that really matters. Whether I love, hate a team, I'll bet on them. I'll bet against them. I was this close to betting against my Kansas State Wildcats last night, you guys. When it was 6 and I blinked and it went back to 5 and I was like, nope, missed the 6. That right there tells me all I need to know. Just stay off the game. So I did. It worked. It worked out well.
Well, I will say this, and I forgot to ask Barstool about this, but I am gonna possibly tonight do just a live show where I'm just betting games live and watching them and stuff. I'm going to see if I'm allowed to like put my book on the screen and like bet. Like, I don't know if I can do. I think I can do that, but
I don't know. That is a very good question. Anytime I have a question, I always text and then I always get like a yeah, of course answer, and then I feel stupid. But always better to ask than do some of the stuff that I've done incorrectly. So
no, and I've gotten many texts. Stop saying that. Don't say that again.
Yeah.
Delete that. Yeah. You can't say certain things. That said, before we go, guys, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to keep teasing this. We are working on something very big for yours truly and some other people. Stay tuned, Kelly in Vegas. This
Ooh.
might be huge after basketball season. We're working on it. We need the big boss to write off on it, but it's
Ooh.
coming. And I'll
I
tell you
like
after the
that.
show what it is.
Okay.
But thank you for watching. Check Kelly in Vegas out on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. Check out her show Money Shots with Megan Making Money, who, by the way, they've never invited me on that show. Just saying.
So in full disclosure, what happened was we already had people in place. We have Chris Castellani for baseball. We have Che for NFL props and NBA props, and we have Rico for college football and college basketball. But that's why I like you coming on that Saturday
No, I do.
morning.
I was just kidding. I love the Saturday stuff.
It's perfect. You sit there and Megan kind of navigates, if you will. Yep. We talk some smaller games that she likes with you, which I know she really enjoys, having somebody be able to, bounce some ideas off of. We talk a lot of the Power Five with me. And honestly, last Saturday was really good. And if those keep going and we find some of those nuggets like we did with a couple of those totals, it's going to be great.
A lot of people asking about Kelly. Go follow her on Twitter. She'll tweet her card out tonight. So go check that out. We're out of here. We'll see Kelly soon, next week, likely. We have Jim Root on tomorrow, another very good handicapper, 3-man weave. He'll be joining us. Everyone have a great evening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you all later.